Would you do it? Would you say yes? Aren't you tired of your relationships, your health, and so much more suffering because you lack the truth you need to change? The life you desire is within your reach. You can achieve all the success, happiness, and prosperity you deserve by simply learning the secrets that lead to real personal transformation. Change is hard, but not impossible. You just have to make one radical decision to get real. And there's no better authority on the real steps to change than David G. Evans.
Some men trust in chariots. Some men trust in horses. But we will trust in the Lord.
David G. Evans is leading the charge to bring you the power to change your life. He is committed to the mission of helping you transform and become a person of power, and it starts with his all-new system to change your situation. At the centerpiece of this life-altering collection is David Evans' groundbreaking training course. From ridiculous to radical to real, this means war. In this series, you will discover the steps to change. This series includes 2 powerful messages, each on winning the battle in your mind and cultivating a language of faith. That's 4 messages, 4 power-filled hours of material. If you want a better marriage, this series has the answers. If you want to achieve financial independence God's way, the secrets in this series will empower you to make it happen. If you want a life of power, anointing, and influence, this series will show you how to get it, and there's more. You're looking for serious, immediate results. So Bishop Evans will also include one of his best-selling messages called Weapon of Warfare. This classic teaching will build you up to start fighting in the spirit for what you deserve. This powerhouse collection, from ridiculous to radical to real, and Weapon of Warfare, will give you all the biblical strategies you need to change anything in your life. This collection will ship to you immediately with your gift today to David G. Evans Ministries. This ministry is revolutionizing the kingdom by empowering believers. Souls are being saved daily, and we need your help to grow this impact in a real way. Call now and sow your seed of just $35 for your transformation to help people around the world. Your $35 love gift goes straight to the front lines of ministry, providing help to those that need it most. Call now. Make the decision to get the power you need to change your life forever.
Isn't it time to stop reliving your past hurts and move on to a bright and hopeful future?
I have a right to be upset, but I don't have a right to be wounded for the rest of my life. So I choose to be healed.
Get rid of the bitter poison that unforgiveness administers to the soul with Bishop David G. Evans. Forgive again, live again.
It's a liberating experience, and being able to forgive someone and forgiving yourself. It's liberating.
Forgiveness will deliver me in 3 dimensions. From what happened, from who it happened with, from when it happened. Because sometimes you'll get free from the what, but the who will still have you back.
This highly sought-after 4-part message of healing can be yours on CD or DVD. Act now, and we'll include Bishop's book, Healed Without Scars, with your order absolutely free. All yours when you visit our website or call 1-800-591-8480 today.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on any smart device at David G. Evans 1. We want you to join in our conversation this morning as we talk about faith, of course, because we're a kingdom biblical-based talk show. But we talk about politics and culture and religion, sports, any major event that has an impact on your life. But we always discuss our subjects from a biblical point of view, with a biblical perspective, from a biblical foundation. So we're glad you're joining us today. I would ask you to share right now with those who follow you, those who are your friends, and invite them to join what is always an amazing conversation that we have with people from around the country and sometimes from around the world. It is important that you like and subscribe us, that you share this broadcast. and hit that notification button so you can not miss one moment of this dynamic hour we spend with you. And then you can play it back, of course, on our YouTube sites and on Facebook, and we look forward to your interaction this morning. If you're not going to call us at 866-743-8267, you can also send us a post on Facebook, and we will interact with you through that. But we'd love to hear from you by phone from all around the country and sometimes around the world. Joining me this morning is our guest host today, Reverend Richard White.
Morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
He is one of the leaders of our church, and he is also, and he plays this low-key, a leader in industry and corporate endeavors. He is an international man. He's done some amazing things with his life. And you went to the University of Pittsburgh, right?
For grad school.
For grad school.
Went to HBCU for undergrad, Morgan State. I know you a Lincoln man, but
Morgan State. Morgan State. I heard of that school.
Yeah.
I heard of Morgan State. Yeah. Just a lot of good things came out of HBCUs, bro.
Yes, sir.
A lot of good things. We are, HBCUs at this moment are some of the most challenged institutions in the country. Some of them were chosen for particular gifts from people like the Microsoft lady. It'll come to us.
Yes, it'll come to us.
All right, but
Melinda Gates.
Melinda Gates,
and Jeff Bezos' ex-wife also.
Okay.
She gave $40 million to Morgan.
Did she?
Yes, she did.
I got to get her on the phone and see what she gave to Lincoln. So when we were serving on Lincoln's board, it was, we were able to do some great things. But if we had had the kind of help that they're getting now.
We were trying to get the state from keep the state from giving us money.
Rich.
Taking away money.
They took away enough. But if we had had some benefactors doing what these recent benefactors have done, I think the Bible verse comes to me: eyes have not seen and ears have not heard the things we would have been able to do. But we did a lot with the limited resources and cutbacks in budgets. And
yes.
God was very favorable to us. So it's voting time. And I am watching the news and listening to people talk, and I'm wondering, what is the hot topic? Has it shifted from women's rights? Has it gone over to democracy? And I don't know why the impression is given that the citizens of the United States cannot handle more than one major object, one major subject at a time.
Yeah.
Why is it has to be this or that? Yeah. Why can't we be concerned with this and that and make a decision that's not so based on a momentary reaction, but some reality that's going to last down the road? What do you think that is about us?
Folks are selfish.
Okay.
Folks only think about themselves. As
Okay.
you know, the number one photo today in the U.S. is a selfie. In the world, it's a selfie, a picture of yourself. There's no more prevalent picture than a picture of yourself.
I didn't know that.
And, we live in this society, as you've always said, whether there's Republican views that fit my needs and there's Democratic views that fit, the things that I care about.
Sure,
so why do we have to be so partisan, in what it is we do? And what I like to say is people don't realize that Rome was never conquered.
No.
Ever.
No.
For hundreds of centuries.
It wasn't.
It fell from within.
Yeah.
We need to watch out.
Yeah. We're not. There's no power that's going to beat us from outside. We have to be self-destructive, which appears to be
exactly
the pathway that we are leaning towards. The love of country and the security of your own family no longer seems to be the top priority. We're looking at parties. One party is willing for the whole thing to go down. The other party, I don't necessarily agree with their entire platform, but they're more in line with what I see than out of line. And I have some major disagreements with the Democratic Party.
Yes.
But I've got some huge disagreements with the Republican Party. And my major disagreement with the Republican Party now is they seem not to stand for everything they said they stood for.
Yeah, the lies.
Yeah.
The lies.
Yeah,
it's one thing to be saying the truth and not not like it.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be telling a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie.
It's amazing. And a lot of the, how do you justifiably try to decide that what we need to do in this country is you go ahead and vote. But if we don't like the result, we're going to change it.
Right.
That's totally undemocratic.
Yeah, totally. And you know the recent election down in Brazil,
Yeah.
when Bolsonaro lost, the incumbent lost to Da Silva. Initially, he said he was going to do the same thing that has been seen here. That
Did he?
He's going to say, "I don't accept the vote.
Okay.
I'm still in power." But
Okay.
he said, "No, I lost. It's over."
Now you've worked in Brazil, right?
I haven't. I've worked there. Yes, I'm actually supposed to be going there in about 3 weeks. 4 weeks.
Okay.
But yes, I've been to Brazil. Brazil
Okay.
is a very interesting, dynamic society.
Okay.
And I've had very high inflation. We talk about 8.5% inflation here.
It's nothing.
125% down there. Not now, but like 5 years ago. It's
I remember Jamaica's was extraordinarily high one time.
extraordinarily high.
Yeah.
So they've dealt with a lot, but they're dealing with some of the same things, some of the bipartisanship. When I talk to the people that work with us, they're dealing with some of the same things we're dealing with here.
I think one of the things that's become more and more evident to me is that we vote politicians to go to Washington to look out for our interests.
Mm-hmm.
Our interests don't seem to be a priority.
No.
It is the personal interest, and I've started to believe that in many cases, people get elected to office because that is another route to wealth for them. Because I don't know too many senators and congressmen that come out of office and need a 9-to-5.
Well, none of them do.
I was trying to be generous.
When you've been there for a long time, you know.
And I don't, it's funny how there has to be a system.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you have to be invited into the system because the preponderance of people elected are doing the same thing and benefiting from the same system.
Right.
And then you have a few on the edge, the marginalized politicians who are not in that system that come out almost as broke as they did when they went in.
Yeah. It's almost like an expat assignment. You know, when we lived in Europe, we saved over the majority of our salary because the company's paying for your living,
absolutely,
your health care, your food. They're paying to travel, everything. So if you're in Congress or and everything's paid for,
sure.
So even if you're only making $185,000 a year, which is nominal salary for those in the government, but if you can save all of it,
that's
for 30, 40 years. Because you don't have to buy nothing.
Well, maybe that's how they get those homes and whatnot. But then the other way is obviously there's money being exchanged, and they've got a system for it because some of these gentlemen and ladies are very, very wealthy, and they weren't wealthy when they went into office. But we can move on. So
go vote.
Voting on Tuesday. I believe the midterms have a little bit more attention than they've had in the past.
They do. There's a lot of races for the Senate and the House that are going on. So
and a lot of people I understand who are for. I don't understand the dynamic that the only time an election is legal and honest is if you win. I don't. If I lose, it's rigged. If I win, it's not rigged. And you have core bases of people that actually are supporting that point of view.
Yeah.
That if I win, nothing was
everything's
wrong.
good. But if I
lose, the whole thing is wrong.
It's got to be a shame.
That's incredible to me. We're going to the phone. We've got Sandra. I hope I'm saying that right. Sandra from Salem County. We've got Danny from Lauderhill, Florida. You can give us a call, 866-743-8267. This is On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in the United States of America. We love to talk to you. Love to hear what your opinion is. We can disagree, but we don't have to disagree disagreeably. So we want you to remember that the foundation of this program is kingdom. And even though we disagree, we're courteous to one another as we render our opinions on the air today. Let's go to Sandra. Hope I'm saying it right. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. You down in Salem, huh?
Yes, I am.
God bless you. You might need to turn your device, the sound down, so you're not listening to feedback. Okay, good. Welcome to On Point. What's your comment this morning?
Well, I want to talk about trusting in God and truth and the elections.
Okay.
Basically.
And
what
would be your opinion today?
Okay. Well, it's my opinion that this is very serious. It's a very serious time, and we need to do everything we can to bring about truth. You know, it's in our individual lives.
Okay.
And if we have any aspects of our life that we are not facing in truth, we are heirs to the kingdom of God, and as such, we, you know, if we don't live in our true reality, then, you know, we'll never get there.
Okay. So are you, I'm not sure how you're connecting that to voting.
Well, as far as in who we're voting for, who they are, and, you know, the reality that's given to the American public, and that we are not actually, the last election is still in question, and then we have COVID, everybody's in masks, you know, with their identity, and this is just, things are totally messed up, and we need to recognize it before this election, because as far as a doctor and you know, running for office, and that as a senator in the most important state, Pennsylvania, blah, 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 all that. It's very serious. And I personally have experience and know where to turn with the experience concerning these individuals.
Okay, so I think I hear you saying that as it relates to especially people of faith, that we need to get involved in the process, that our voices...
Well, I'm talking about the ministers, too.
Yes, ma'am. I said people of faith. So that we can't act as though politics does not influence our lives, and that even in the Bible, there's no deliverance without participation.
Okay. Just take a look at Will Smith. Will Smith, the Prince of Bel-Air, you know, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He is in distress. He's in distress. And as I said, that show was principal to black people, you know, as far as where Bel-Air and success and this thing, you know. And so now they've taken this away from him. You know, it's just, I can't, as I get started, there's a million things that I have to say.
Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by they took it away from him. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the program that he actually got discovered on when he was, and that was based here in Philadelphia. Right,
and it was they're picking up a new prince, and then he's being cut down like all black men are cut down. Well, with Kanye, you know, Bill Cosby, each one as their wealth is cut down and taken away from them, and their image is their total image is taken away from them, and that's a reflection on the black. But it's not a black-white question, you know. But it's something that Okay, I have a portrait up in my house that is that shows exactly what's going on with the attacks that are being made on the black community through the airways and through the media.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So, in your previous statement, when you were talking about Will Smith and Bill Cosby and those types of things, so are you saying? I don't think you're implying that they should not be responsible for their actions. Are you implying that?
No. No, I'm implying that there is forgiveness, and that as we look over the past years, people's lives developed through the processes that they live in.
Okay.
You know, these were parts of their careers, and they were acceptable things that they were doing at the time that they were doing them. So, you know, not all of them are acceptable, but it was a way of life.
Now, we have a saying here on this show that who determines what. You know, the rules aren't equal, right?
The rules aren't equal.
As far as people being treated and people being responsible, that there's no equity there.
Right, but no, there's a concerted effort to bring down every single black individual that goes up. They have to come down through moral charges. You know, none of them stay up there.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So, you seem to be implying that even though they may do something which is wrong, real wrong, everybody thinks it's wrong. You know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. You seem to be saying that they should get a pass even though they're wrong.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that there is forgiveness.
Yes.
And when people do wrong, it's in the course of their life and their understanding at the time that they do it. So they should be given some understanding at the when they're judged. They should be forgiven if they want forgiveness.
Okay, and
Because
what outcome would you like to see come out of that?
Out of what?
Out of what you just spoke about. If they want forgiveness, they can get forgiveness. What outcome would you like to see?
Okay, well, a major love and forgiveness. Okay, it should become a central part of the system, and we start with the worst person on the rolls. Who's the worst person on the rolls that needs forgiveness? That killed so many people, and is responsible for the deaths of so many people.
Okay, you're being rhetorical. So why don't you just give us the answer?
Well, because I don't even want to say the name, because I don't want it to be thought that I am sympathetic. That I go along with it. But I do believe in forgiveness as a.
But now you do understand fully that because you believe in forgiveness, that doesn't mean that the system is going to adopt that characteristic. You are aware of that.
Well, with forgiveness, you develop a sane mind and you're able to deal rationally.
Okay, you didn't answer my question, Sandra. I said you're not implying that forgiveness, your belief in forgiveness, my belief in forgiveness, Rich's belief in forgiveness, you're not implying that you think the entire system is going to take on our belief, do you?
No, I'm not. But I am saying that with forgiveness, sanity comes into play.
Okay, there's no doubt about that. But
there's no sanity in this election.
All right.
In this election, there is no sanity.
I understand all of that, and I think it's some of the wackiest stuff I've ever seen. I'm 70, so I've seen a few elections, and it's some of the wackiest stuff I've ever seen with some of the wackiest platforms I've ever experienced, and people attracted to these unusual, what I call wacky platforms. So that we're in a culture now where I don't understand this cancel culture thing, but right now people are canceled very readily. But there's
you don't understand.
Wait a minute, Sandra, wait a minute. There's an issue. You're a Christian, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm a Christian. Rich is a Christian. We have strong beliefs. But one of the things you and I and Rich have had to accept is not everybody's going to believe like we believe.
We do accept. I do accept it. Yes,
okay.
I accept it.
Okay.
But it's our responsibility to find a way to make the point that that this is so.
I think the point is being made. I think where you're getting where you may be not completing the process of the flow of your thought is that you seem to be talking with an expectancy that everyone else is going to believe what we believe.
No, I don't have that expectancy.
Okay.
My expectancy is to just make change, positive change in my life, and revelation in other people's life of truth, revelation of truth.
The Bible calls that being a witness.
Okay.
Okay, being a witness.
And what court do you witness to?
A living, breathing. Well, in the system that we're in, the polls or voting, here we're back to your subject of voting, is where your voice is heard.
But there's a question of a lie in the polls.
Well,
and the operation of the court.
The problem with the polls is that now, if you win, people say it's legitimate. If you lose, they say it's not. So it can't just be flawed when you lose.
Well, there should be a move before this election to call off. They got an action in the Senate about the previous election that's still in question, and the president and
it shouldn't be.
So no, all that should not be. There should be one accord. There should be some accord. And
what you still are projecting, I hear in your statements, is a desire for these things to be consistent with love, truth, forgiveness. That you have a desire for those things.
I'm a voting citizen, and I was attacked working in the polls
Okay.
and so forth and so on. You know, so I mean, I have issues without assistance that need to go to the board so that they can make an informed decision.
Have you made your voice heard among the people that are in authority?
I have not.
Okay,
Because all the offices are closed.
Well, wait a minute.
Everything's
Wait a minute.
closed.
They're not closed every day, are they?
Well, it's hard to get through with COVID. It's been
Okay.
COVID. It's hard to get through anybody.
All right, here's the issue. A lot of us of Christians have very strong beliefs, but when I ask the $55,000 question, what are we doing? A lot of people, I sometimes we give the impression that I've got this strong belief, but I need other people to do the work.
Well, that's true. You do need help. You can't do anything by yourself.
Well, no, but that includes you getting involved yourself.
Well,
It's been real nice talking to you. You had a whole lot of time this morning. I don't recall talking to you before from Salem County, which Salem has its own amazing issues that I've experienced down there when I had to minister in Salem a few times. But I'm glad you called us this morning, and I look forward to talking to you again.
well, you could help me if you would.
All right, now talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We've got Scott from Vineland. We got Danny from Lauderhill, Florida. You can give us a call, 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. What was your feeling about that call, Rich?
Well, when it comes to voting, that's the vehicle that we have to get our voice heard.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to talk about
the only viable one.
the
that
only
we have.
viable.
Yeah.
When it talks about other things, we have to be accountable for whatever our actions are. Even if we are forgiven, you have to have some accountability
Absolutely.
for what it is you
Absolutely.
did. Doesn't mean you can't be forgiven.
Right.
You did what you did.
You do have to have
So
accountability.
you have to have accountability. But voting is so imperative. So, you know, again, go vote. We voted yesterday. Took my mom to vote. What was interesting, we voted, and Lisa and I voted in Marlton.
Okay.
And when we got to the place, the early voting place, they had signs, vote here, vote here, vote here.
Okay.
My mom, who lives in Sicklerville, voted in Atco.
Okay.
And when we got there was no signs, no nothing about you can vote here.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a disparity because of the population dynamics, demographics.
That's a nice way of saying it.
You know, so don't go for the okie doke if you're going to vote early.
Yeah.
Now, she normally votes at CCU, which is
Okay.
right down the street.
Okay.
But she wanted to vote early. But to go vote early, there was not like, come here. So it's interesting. So go online. If you don't know how to do it, let the young ones help you. They can show you where to go.
Yeah.
And go vote.
Yeah. Don't sit home and just don't become reticent and say it's not going to matter. If you don't vote, you're inadvertently voting for the person you did not want to get in office.
That's right.
So if you say I'm not going to vote, then you're actually casting a vote for someone that you don't want to represent you.
And don't say nothing when it doesn't work out the way you want.
Yeah, and if you don't vote, you can't complain about what's going on because you weren't involved. Speaking of responsibility, we haven't talked much about the Brittany Griner thing.
Yeah.
Now, you and I both travel internationally. You much more than me.
Ooh.
And one of the things I know before I leave the house is I'm not taking anything with me.
Anything.
In my bags that they're packing, that they're putting underneath the ship, and you know, my bags I'm carrying on, I'm making sure nothing on my person
That's right.
is something they can question.
Can't question.
You know, I remember flying into the islands to do some work, and they had a dog walking across all the luggage.
Yeah.
And the dog was sniffing for what the dog was sniffing
That's
for.
right. And the dog knows.
Yeah.
The dog knows.
You know, and I don't get taking that kind of chance.
Yeah, it's
But then we've got people who, okay, she got caught with it, but they don't need to jail her. They need to treat her differently than they treat other people. I think 7-9 years is a whole lot of time in a Russian jail.
a lot of time. But Bishop, you've been to Asia. You've
Absolutely.
been to Japan. You've been all over
Absolutely.
Asia just like I
Absolutely.
have. You get caught over there.
They don't play.
Japan, Singapore, certain parts of Taiwan, Thailand, they will shoot you.
Well,
You will get executed for
they
drugs.
told me and my group in China, we don't care where you come from. You better have every bit of jewelry on yourself when you come back through these gates that you had when you went through it, because they inventoried us. If you trade anything, we're going to keep you here.
Yeah.
They told us that.
Yeah, it's
So I'm thinking, you know, you can ask me for my watch all day long. I'm not giving it to you.
give it to you. No, it's unfortunate, and certainly we want Brittany to come home and are not happy with the sentence that she received.
But then again, it's not our system.
It's not our system, you know.
So I the people I talk to almost want the infraction to be ignored.
Yeah.
And just, just let her go anyway. But that's not how their system works.
It's not how their system
And
works.
you and I both know when you travel to other people's country, you better have not I'm an American on your mind. What do they allow? What did they facilitate? What are they against? You better have that on your mind.
Right. And also the folks that you hope would be looking out for you.
Yeah.
You know. Like I go out of the country somewhere, and I used to have a Nike USA warm up that I love, and Lisa's like, "You can't wear that. You can't wear that, Doc. No, you're not taking that. You just letting everybody know."
She's right. It just makes sense.
It makes sense.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. Our lines are lit. We're going to line 4. Danny from Lauderhill, Florida. Hey, Danny.
Bishop, good morning. How you doing?
All right, man. What's going on in Florida?
Staff.
You doing all right?
Yes. I just wanted to, it's just coincidental. You right on point as usual. The topic that you're talking about, I just wanted to bring into focus something that is happening here that I think is how things slip by. And
in Florida? It's happening in Florida?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
that they do. And I told you before that you're talking about corrupt, doing things illegal. It's here in Florida. We debate. You say it's in New Jersey. I say it's Florida.
Okay.
Now, the situation is that they had an incident where they had a so-called campaign worker that was attacked.
Okay.
And that was beaten.
Okay.
Okay. The two gentlemen that did the offense, they had them immediately arrested. The one was arrested one day, then a few days later they arrested a second person, and then they had an issue. They said that dogs were sent on the two people that did the offense.
Okay.
My issue is that we talk about forgiveness. We talk about being fair on things. Now, we have a situation, you asked a very interesting question. How is it that we let them get away with changing the topics of what's important to us and what has happened? And I find that we have a very short memory as to current events and what's happened. And we no longer have what we used to call investigative reporting.
Okay.
When a person presented an issue, if they weren't truthful about it, the media will let you know this person is not telling the truth. Is not a truthful person. But they say things that we know that are not true. Look at January 6th. That's forgotten totally.
Well, it's not forgotten. They changed what happened. And I've had a problem with this. What happened to the news? They have all these euphemisms for a lie now. Untruth, not faithful to the facts, another set of facts. We've got all these euphemisms for a lie.
A lie.
And what bothers me is that people are adopting those mindsets, and it appears though in their everyday lives, people are living this mirage kind of.
They believe the lie.
Well, I think we in recent years they started calling it my truth, which means if it's not my truth, it's not the truth. Right. Which means if I'm lying, I just call it my truth, and that validates my point of view. It's amazing to me how twisted we're becoming in what we support.
No, you're right, Bishop. And like you said earlier, why can't we do more than one thing at a time? Abortion is important. Gun laws are important. Inflation is important.
All those
eliminating student debt is important. It's all important.
We're dealing with all that stuff. and I believe the people have been convinced that they can only focus on one major thing at a time.
And here's the thing, and I just want to bring this point to you. Now, the gentleman that was attacked, okay, he received national media, okay, that this in South Florida, this gentleman was attacked and what have you. but they do not include or disclose exactly his history. All right?
Okay.
Now, you have people that were served their time, that's supposed to be allowed to vote.
Okay.
We voted to have whatever offenses, as long as they served the time, they paid restitution to the state that they would be allowed to vote.
Okay.
Now they come up with a special commission, that special investigators, that they would go and they had these people arrested. Their past brought back up. They were working. They actually had jobs, but they were laid off because they said that they violated the law by voting.
Well, here's my, and this is just how my mind works. And Rich, you guys can correct me. I think if you are afraid of whatever population of prisoners voting in your state, that shows me a sense of desperation as it relates to you thinking you can win an election.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what that says to me. Okay, if you got 30,000 guys men and women that you're going to stop from voting, do you believe your margins are that narrow? That you have to do something which is absolutely illegal?
Trying to discourage it.
Yeah, trying to discourage people from voting. Yeah. And I believe some celebrities paid off a lot of their loans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their fines and whatnot. So
that is true, Bishop.
So and I think the hurdle that was supposed to be permanent was they'll never be it's like a student loan. You'll never be able to pay this off.
To pay it.
Yeah.
Now listen to this, Bishop. The person that was attacked a few years ago, he was protesting, and he was found to be a member of a group that went against and harassed county workers that were changing street name signs. The issue was they were changing the street name signs from Confederate heroes to names that the people that lived on the street wanted them to be changed to.
Okay. Why were they doing that?
And also, he was protesting with a Confederate flag, a member of a hate group. Okay?
But wouldn't your governor support somebody like that?
He not only that.
I'm sorry.
As the investigation went on, they found out that the party that he was working for, they were paying him.
And this is the same guy that was accosted recently.
Yes, sir.
So one of their own got accosted.
That was never made a national issue. Then on top of that, last week, and look at the pattern as to how they perform and how they work. This particular governor that we have, he left the state, went to New York to campaign for someone that was running up there, and look at the same pattern that they have, passing out of the hats, throwing fat hats into the audience, and what have you. Watch what happens.
I don't follow you.
Okay, they have the same attitude. They have the same performance, the same things that they do, passing out of the hats, MAGA hats, these things.
Okay. So you're saying that it's all interrelated?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if one don't make it, I want to be the number one person to take his place.
So you think your governor wants to run for president?
Definitely. I said that from the beginning, before anybody knew who he was.
But do you think he's going to win the governorship of the state you're in?
I hope not. I pray not.
Is Christ a strong candidate?
He's been coming back strong. He's been making a good run right here at the end.
Hey, Danny.
But you have people that are doing things and they're misled, like we were saying before. They give the half-truths as to what happened, what this person did, and it's a shameful thing that when you go ahead and you try to block people from voting, you go ahead and you say, well, you're forgiven, and then you're not forgiven.
Hey, Danny, I know Florida's a big state. Well, it's a very long state, but with the hurricane that just came through, and you talk about Fort Myers, I know folks that had houses there. They flew in on their planes to look at their houses, and they flew out. So how's that going to impact the upcoming election? Because that whole Fort Myers area, Sanibel Islands area, how's that going to impact the election with folks, their homes are gone, and a lot of them have the resources to not be there?
we had a situation where we wanted the general population to go ahead and be able to vote early, to move the schedule up as far as voting early, give us a longer period of time to vote, or to go ahead and make it a state holiday to go ahead and vote, so there will be no problem.
So how did that work out?
Get out and vote.
How did that work out?
It didn't work out for us. Okay, the 3 counties that are strongholds as far as the other party or the Republican Party goes, they were given time to open up early or start voting earlier, because the excuse that was made was the hurricane.
So there was an excuse. There was a concession made for 3 counties that were stronghold Republican, and the other counties that were contiguous to it, they didn't get the same concession.
No.
And the people in your state are okay with that?
No, we're not, but it doesn't go anywhere.
All right, I'm gonna ask a question, Rich, and Danny, we're gonna let you go. Tell my sister I said hi.
All right, we'll do.
All right, talk to you. So, Rich, something like that, since voting is a kind of a federal thing, how come when that happens that the Justice Department or something is not like their hair doesn't catch on fire and they go right at that issue?
And go at the
issue.
Why don't they?
Yeah. Why does the federal government appear to stand back and watch these things perpetuate
at the state level?
Yeah, at the state level,
and
when
not
it
interfere.
Yeah.
That's the age-old question of
Okay.
why and where the power does lie,
Okay.
and the jurisdiction of the federal government over the state government in state-run events.
Well, they need to make up their mind. Either they want the federal government to be involved in your personal affairs, or they don't want the federal government. It's not, I'm going to tell you who you can marry, but somebody taking away your right to vote, I'm not getting involved in that.
That's what they're doing with abortion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the federal government said no, and then they say leave it up to the states. The state, you decide.
My Republican friends before now used to say that that's too much involvement in the day-to-day life by the government. That's what they used to say. Okay, let's go to Scott, calling from Violent. Good morning, Scott. How you doing?
Good morning, Bishop Evans. I'm sorry, I don't know the good brother's name next to you. How you doing, sir?
Good to see you. Thank you for calling in.
That's Rich White.
How you doing, Mr. White? I always enjoy your show, Bishop. A couple quick things, politic-wise.
Okay.
My one question, how is Mr. Trump still able to run? Is that smoke and mirrors? Please tell me it's smoke and mirrors. How is he still able to even think about running?
He's mastered the system.
It's like the devil, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, you got to give him credit for being able to.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
To me, he's
marketing.
To me, he's like Voldemort. He's evil but great.
I mean, you can't fault somebody for having effective marketing capability.
No, he's got it.
You can't. You can learn from it.
He's it's a caustic, divisive, inciting type of way he does things. But he's trying to appeal to a certain amount of people. But here's the issue for them, Scott and Rich. He's appealing to a minority which is vast, which is why they're having to try to pass all these laws to overthrow whoever is elected, who they don't want them elected.
Okay.
That's the issue behind this. You got, they know they don't have enough numbers. So now we've got to control how the numbers are counted. And even if the numbers are counted and they're against us, we have to have the ability to say, okay, you won, but we're not going to accept it.
And the numbers are, that's what was so interesting about the election 2 years ago, is that 140-something million people voted. He got 70 million votes.
Yeah, a lot.
That's a lot.
But it's not 100. But it's not what.
It wasn't the majority, but it's still a lot.
Yeah, there's some people out there supported it.
It's still a lot. A whole lot of people.
Yeah, 70-some million folk.
Yeah.
And he knows how to appeal to that base. But then, fundamentally, the appeal is to, you've been treated unfairly, and we're going to make sure you're treated fairly from here on out. That's really the base emotion that he's appealing to. I'm going to give you significance again. And it's amazing. Like, I've had conversations with people, and they have this feeling of, I'm going to regain my significance if this person is in office. And I'm like, I didn't know you didn't think you were significant. I didn't know you thought we were in charge. I didn't know that. Because we certainly didn't think we were. And they don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for that 9 cents for love, and we're looking forward to coming back, visiting Bethany.
Tell Nia I said hey.
I will.
All right, talk to you, man. Bye-bye. 866-743-8267. We're going to Tom from Fort Lauderdale. If you'd like to give us a call, get involved in this conversation. We've got about 12 minutes left. You can get in, and we'd love to talk to you this morning. There's some other things that we wanted to talk about, but, you guys seem to be, I didn't want to get into Elon Musk, that was for sure, because it's hard to know what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But he has managed to become, they say, the wealthiest man in the world.
He is, yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing?
All right, how you doing, man?
When I was up there, it was Deacon White.
It was Deacon White. He Reverend White now. he R-E-B, Reverend White.
Okay. Hey, Bishop, you asked a question earlier.
Yeah.
I think it was rhetorical when you said, about voting, and if you lose, you still win in some people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that was set up in the 2020 election, before the election, when Donald Trump said, even if I lose, I win.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was setting that narrative up.
Well, I think he knew he was going to lose.
Oh,
I think
showed that.
Yeah, he anticipated he was going to lose. So, he had to set up the whole it's rigged thing. But he's a prime example of what I'm saying. If he had won, he would have said it was legitimate.
Yeah.
You can't declare illegitimacy when the only time you declare it is when it doesn't go your way. So if you win, you guys didn't cheat, but if you lose, you guys cheated me out of this. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Bishop, something a little different. Critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I'm still trying to figure out what that is.
They're throwing that out there.
I've been black a long time.
It's not going to be taught.
Yeah, I don't know how reporting on slavery is critical race theory. I don't get it.
Well, but let me tell you something a little different. Years ago, not when I say years ago, in the 90s, I had a guy, a so-called Christian,
mm-hmm.
and he worked for me.
Okay.
And he asked me a question. He goes, and this is when it was being popularized on television. He goes, Tom, why do they have all those HBCUs? And I said, what do you mean? Because he was looking at it as though it was something special. He goes, all in black colleges, like white colleges like that. And I said, well, you know what, dude? My mother and father met at an HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes. Well, why? I said, because they couldn't go to South Carolina State University, and they couldn't go to Clemson. And this guy's face turned. He went, what do you mean? We're talking the 90s, and this guy had no idea that my parents could not go to a white school.
Absolutely.
In the South.
Absolutely. I lived in Chester, Fairground Projects, and in Chester was the Crozier Theological Seminary. The theological seminary that Martin Luther King, Abernathy, a lot of those historic black preachers who were civil rights engineers, they went to Crozier because they could not go to Rochester in New York. They weren't allowed. So they watch this now. They bought a home in Chester, and that was the Crozier Theological Seminary. So William Jones, Abernathy, Martin Luther King, that's how, and they used to go to Bethany Church in Chester. And Martin Luther King and Abernathy and those guys used to come over to my grandmother's house on Sunday to eat dinner after church, because my granddad was the chairman of the deacon board. So on any given Sunday, a young King, a young Abernathy, a young William Augustus Jones were sitting up in our kitchen, because we were in a project house. We didn't have a quote-unquote dining room. Mm-hmm. They'd sit in there and eat the chicken and dumplings and all this other stuff, always, because my grandfather, whenever they would come to Bethany Church, and D.A. Scott was the man in Chester, so you had to come through him. So he was the pastor who was the senior pastor. Bethany Church was the prominent church. And the seminarians would come to sit under DA while they were in school.
And Bishop, the amazing part about that is that's not ancient history.
No, it's not.
That was just yesterday in the realm of time.
They couldn't go to school in New York, so they sent them to school in Chester in a house.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
No, sir.
The shameless plug, it's not a shameless plug, it's a real plug for HBCUs, is that when you talk about STEM, when you talk about doctors, lawyers, preachers, HBCUs graduate more of them in totality than all the other schools combined.
Well, it makes it makes sense.
It's real.
And this is not an even further shameless plug. Up until
You know,
up until the probably 80s, Lincoln University graduated 50% of all the top professions in the nation among black people. 50%.
50%.
Out of one school.
Oh.
Where I went.
Where you went? Well, today, Morgan State.
I remember when I got an award from Morgan, and I went down, and of course, no, not Morgan, Morehouse.
Morehouse, okay, yeah.
And I went down, of course, and of course Martin's everywhere. So we're on the tour, and we're in this room where just Martin's all over the walls. So they asked me where did I go to school. I said I went to Lincoln University. So it was like, oh, and it was a little shade in the O. And I said, you know, you guys have Martin, but Lincoln's got everybody else. And I started going down the list. Supreme Court judges, kings of countries in Africa. It was a slaughter right there in the middle of the tour. I thought they were going to throw me out.
They're all good. We support them all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Bishop, I have another question. I don't know if you guys want to touch it.
Go ahead.
Kyrie Irving.
Oh, yeah, let's touch it.
It's on our list.
Let's touch it. It's on the list. It's on the list.
You know, the money he's about to lose, he's already going to lose over $400,000 a game.
And Nike just dropped
him last night.
What was that contract worth?
A 2.2 for now, but it could be 20 or 30 million or more in future revenue.
Right, because he had the rights to the shoes.
Kanye 8 sneaker.
Right. Yeah, because he had the rights. He was going to get residuals from the shoes. So that was X the contract that he had with him.
Okay.
But then he had another shoe contract with him. So
they say Kanye lost $2 billion. Just like that.
Just like that.
Now he was already living in a stadium.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
They say he's down to a couple $1 million.
No, he's got money. No,
I know he's got some money now.
I wouldn't believe that. You don't go from worth $2 billion.
But $2 billion is a lot to lose.
Yeah. He lost that, but that's future money.
Future
that's
money.
Not current
money.
Well, he was already a billionaire.
Still.
He was already a billionaire.
But I think that Irvin has, from what I can see in the news, he's got these different views of a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
And we're in a society where a lot of people are not accountable for a lot of what they do and say. But there's a few folk that everybody knows. You're taking a risk if you come down the way he came down. Even when he tried to apologize for it, he posted about it. The live interviews for him did not do what I thought it should do.
The live interviews. Well, he wouldn't apologize at the live interview.
No.
And so then post interview and post suspension apology, it's irrelevant.
It makes no sense that, okay, now that this thing has crushed me, now that I'm losing money again, because he lost a whole lot of money in COVID, I understand.
Yeah.
In
basketball, Bishop, it's not like tennis or golf.
No.
Basketball is a team sport. So he not only it's okay, have whatever views you want, but you're letting your team down. You didn't play because you didn't want to.
He doesn't care about that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It shows.
I heard him say the other day that we don't really need a coach.
Yeah.
We don't need somebody coming here and try to give us their coaching philosophy.
Yeah.
You guys are losing. You need something.
So back to the selfishness that we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you just and I've been following Durant since high school.
Yeah.
he has evolved into someone I don't really understand. Not that I have to understand it, but he's evolved into this individual where he's now, I want the coach fired? What? They obviously need coaching.
Yeah.
Because they're not winning. They got plenty of talent. But they're not winning.
They're not winning.
So you need someone to coordinate that talent, and you need to listen to them.
Yeah.
It sounds like ego's out of control.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And also, Irving's got these weird views of being a flat earther.
Oh.
But one of the views he has, why he didn't want to apologize, he believes that he is part of the original 7 tribes of Israel, and he is Jewish, and historically, and that the whites that he were talking about were from Europe, so they didn't qualify.
Here's my problem.
So,
I've never heard him talk about that until he got in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, he could have. He could have had a lecture somewhere and I didn't know about it, but I've never heard him talk like that, about he's original Jew and all that kind of stuff. I never heard him talk like that.
Yeah, but still.
Until he got in trouble about it, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
He's Semitic, which, in Africa, there are some historically Semitic parts of the continent. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Ethiopia, a few other places. So if you know your history, yes, there's, but we know he wasn't talking about Ethiopians.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I think he's a little delusional and he's also defiant about doing things. But he's one of those guys that knows just enough to be dangerous.
Well, I think a lot of times, too, we get the false impression that money can insulate us.
Yeah.
Until we step on the wrong landmine and find out who determines what in this society.
That's right. That's right. And money can, money mess you up.
Oh, man. We've only got 3 minutes, man. Tom, thanks for calling us.
Hey, great.
Talk to you
take
soon.
Care.
All right.
I hope the weather's good.
Yeah, it's working out. We got spring. We got spring-like weather right now. 75 degrees today.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Talk to you soon.
Right. All right.
Bye-bye. Now, we're coming to the end of the program. We've got about 2 minutes, 1:51. We want to remind you tomorrow at 8 a.m., join us for our virtual service. And then 11 o'clock, join us for our live service. If you registered for this week's service, it'd be great to see you tomorrow. You can always join us on our podcast platforms, YouTube at David G. Evans 1, BBC of NJ. We look forward to interacting with you not only online but also in person.
Communion.
Communion is tomorrow.
They can pick up their
Yeah, you can pick up your elements today,
here.
right?
Yep.
Today, what time?
I believe 12 to 3.
Okay. Come out this morning around 12 o'clock, pick up your bread and your wine for tomorrow's communion. You want to join us. Once again, we're going to have a dynamic time in the Lord. Now, I want you to remember this one thing. God is still alive. He's still on the throne. He's still in control. And when you pray, heaven begins to respond. For Reverend Richard White, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. Thank you for joining us on OnPointe. And remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.